Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hey, I'm your host who's half man, half machine, all awesome, Joe Wakefield.
I am your father. Not really. Hi, I'm Ryan Lang.
Hi. So, everybody, welcome back. If you've listened to this show before, you know what we're all about, and we appreciate you joining us. Do us a favor, please hit that download button. Downloading the episode is actually the best way to support the show. It
Yes.
truly is. Yes. And for those of us joining us for the first time, hello, welcome. You might be wondering what this show is about. What is it that we do here? Do you know, Ryan?
I think so,
Oh.
but I think you should tell them anyway.
You want a refresher?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Always.
So, what we do here is a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy.
Oh.
Sometimes it's cryptozoology, other times it's a haunting, a myth, or a legend, but it's always spooky.
Oh my God.
And that is why it's in our first section called Spooky Stuff.
That makes sense.
That, of course, is followed by the second part, which we call Disclosure Discussion. That one's all about aliens.
Hey, I'm just asking questions. UFO stories, photos, videos, interdimensionals, anything that has to do with extraterrestrials and aliens. That's what I like to talk about there.
That's right. And if you've made it that far, that means you've completed the first half of the show. And we could
Congratulations.
jump in to the second half. Now, the second half's a little bit different. What we do there is all pop culture and entertainment. Sometimes we have celebrity guests, like today. We are actually have a great interview with Alan Maxson. I don't want to give away everything that he's done, but he's a creature feature actor. He does a lot of prosthetics and costume work. He, most recently, you could have seen him on the Oscars, the
Nice.
97th Academy Awards. He
Ah.
played the Dune 2 Sandworm, who was playing the harp and playing in the drums. I had all the kind of instruments.
Amazing.
Yeah, when Conan was doing his jig, that Sandworm was Alan. We got to talk to him.
That's awesome.
A lot of fun. Then, what we sometimes also have are little quizzes, like little games, little tests. It's fun. They could go along. And then after that, we sometimes have celebrity news. We talk about celebrity deaths. I think you guys are getting the point that the second part is all pop culture all the time. Video games, movies, TVs, that kind of thing.
Nerdy stuff.
Nerdy stuff. Then those two sections. The first one we talked about earlier with all that spooky shenanigans. And the second part, all pop culture, come together to form the delicious moon pie of a podcast known as Earthling Entertainment. Welcome.
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. And if you're fans of this show, you might also be fans of a little film franchise, a small indie one you may or may not have heard of, Star Wars.
Yeah, I know I am. I'm only slightly obsessed. Have been for a long time.
It's true. Ryan collects the helmets. He has I think 20 now.
Something like that. And one of what's funny is because I just moved. And so I went through a bunch of old stuff that my mom kind of unloaded on me from when I was a kid in school. And when I was in elementary school, they asked me who my hero was. I said Luke Skywalker.
That's wonderful.
I'm proud of that answer.
That's pretty cool. Well, a Revenge of the Sith got a re-release this weekend.
Yeah, it did. And oh my God, it did great. The debut hit 42 million.
There are some movies that are brand new that come out and don't make 42 million. I'm pretty sure that the last Mad Max movie didn't make 42 million on its opening weekend. So,
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But what's interesting about this is I think what really happened is there was such kind of a fan divide with that latest trilogy they did that I think everybody kind of went back and went, man, we took those prequels for granted.
Yeah.
It was peak Star Wars.
I would say it's people of fans of a certain age, because you got the older fans. Some of them look at the prequels and say that destroyed Star Wars, and then the kids that really liked the prequels looked at the new trilogy and said that destroyed Star Wars.
And then all the old one, no, bring me back to the 70s.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, do you think there's kids out there who are just going to be like, Ray Skywalker is Star Wars, what is this crap?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? When I went to Disneyland, I saw a bunch of kids dressed as characters from the new Star Wars. There were so many little Rays running around and stuff. It was pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, and it's kind of surprising that this movie did so well. I guess a lot of people do consider it the best Star Wars.
I kind of do. Honestly, out of all of them, I think it's my favorite rewatch. There's just so much in it, you know what I mean? And it's just such a great story. It's a perfect ending going into, A New Hope and all that. But so something that was interesting, I guess at what was the theater?
It was El Capitan. It's in Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard,
Right.
across the
And
street from Grauman's Chinese Theater.
so they were all sitting in the theater, and then Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin Skywalker, who becomes Darth Vader, spoiler alert,
Comes
and
out on stage.
comes out on stage with his blue lightsaber, talks to the crowd for a bit, thanking everybody for coming and everything like that. And then you hear a dude shout from the side of the stage, and it was unmistakably Samuel L. Jackson. And he
Aw.
walks out with his purple lightsaber and says his spiel, thanks the audience, thanks Hayden, all these things. And then he goes, and then I'll say this.
I've been
M-
given permission to say this.
Mace lives.
Ba 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 da ba ba ba.
So we all know, and it's funny because I'll even quote from Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, no one's ever really gone. Like he literally says that to Leia as a astral projection
Well, it's
or
true.
whatever. And
It is kind of a running joke in Star Wars because everybody they do seem to bring a lot of people back. The only one who you don't get back is Qui-Gon.
right. Yeah. Qui-Gon's a ghost.
Qui-Gon's dead.
We know he's a ghost now because of Obi-Wan at the end.
But it makes sense that they brought back Mace Windu. Everyone, for all the fans, have for years been talking about Mace Windu, and he's been hinting at I think he's still alive. I think he's still alive. So now that he's officially saying, yeah, he's alive, that means Disney's working on something. Whether it's a show, a movie, who knows? Maybe it's Ahsoka season 2.
Oh, that might be it.
Maybe he was a hermit this whole time, and he shows up to help.
Yeah,
I mean,
you'll have like robot hands, No,
It's-
that does sound like it probably work.
that's what I'm thinking. Well, anyways, Star Wars aside, guys, we're going to talk about spooky stuff that's a little bit, we're going back to a cryptid. It's Australian.
That's right.
Ryan,
Going down under.
Yeah, Ryan found it. It's a lot of fun. And speaking of pop culture, this particular cryptid, almost like Bigfoot, is in so much pop culture in Australia. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really interesting learning about all the things about it. It's such a, yeah, it is. It's like their big cryptid. I never even heard of it.
I didn't either before this, but you guys are going to hear all about it on this week's Spooky Stuff.
The Bunyip.
Yep.
The Bunyip, also known as the Kian Pratty, is a creature from Aboriginal mythology in southeastern Australia. It is said to live in swamps, billabongs, creeks, riverbeds, and waterholes. The word bunyip translates to devil or evil spirit in the Wemba Wemba language. Physical descriptions of the bunyip vary. Some say it has a dog-like face, dark fur, a horse-like tail, flippers, walrus-like tusks, a crocodile-like head, and a duck-like bill. While
that is a lot to try to form together in my head and kind of visualize.
like even the platypus is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
While its wide range of descriptions make it difficult to determine its appearance, it is agreed that the bunyip is aquatic.
Yeah, it kind of, I've seen pictures where it looked like a hippo with tusks. I've seen
Yeah.
one where it looked like basically a crocodile dog.
And then I saw one where it almost looked like a swan neck.
Yeah.
Like almost like a like a brontosaurus kind of.
A little bit Nessie going on, like a hippo
Yeah.
Nessie with tusks.
Definitely, yeah. A magical leopardon.
I like hippo Nessie. I would see that show. Continue.
Within cryptozoology, it usually refers to a freshwater Australian cryptid divided into two types: the long-necked bunyip, or what's known as the true bunyip, and the dog-faced bunyip. So those are like the two types.
Yeah, and they consider the long neck one the
The tr-
true one,
Right.
because it's much harder to misidentify, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The dog-faced type is usually described as a seal-like animal with a face like a bulldog. And sightings are thought to be explained maybe by stray seals, an identity occasionally confirmed, although a minority of cryptozoologists have theorized that this actually might be a marsupial seal a native freshwater animal which resembles a seal through convergent evolution.
Interesting.
The long neck type is described as a shy, amphibious herbivore with a long neck, a mane, and prominent tusks. Cryptozoologist Gary Opit considers the long neck type to be the true bunyip, as unlike the dog face type, he believes that most sightings cannot be explained as mistaken identity, like you said.
Yeah, and that is true because if it doesn't look like any other animal, you know,
Right.
what you got to be like, oh well, maybe it's a parade float that the kids made in the 1920s. No, that was Nessie. Okay,
Right,
yeah,
right. So it's got to be something. Although it is alternatively identified as a stray seal of an unknown species, namely the long-necked seal, I'm going to work on this one, Megalatoria longicolis is
that's
the
pretty good.
scientific name.
Yeah.
Sightings have not been reported for some years, leading to suggestions that if it did exist, it might be extinct. These two types were also recognized by the Wagaya people of Victoria and by some early colonial settlers. So sightings go way back.
I'd say so.
One of the earliest accounts of the bunyip occurred in 1818 when explorers James Meehan and Hamilton Hume discovered large bones in Lake Bathurst in New South Wales. They did not call the creature the bunyip, but described the remains as similar to a manatee or a hippopotamus, but not the same. In the mid 1830s, fossilized bones were first discovered by George Rankin and later by Thomas Mitchell in the Wellington Caves in New South Wales. British anatomist Sir Richard Owen suggested the fossils could have been extinct marsupials, Diprotodon and Nototherium.
Okay, but if it's not either one of those and it is a bunyip, I mean that's pretty cool that they found actual bones. So if the thing doesn't exist now, it at least probably did at one point, maybe even a couple hundred years ago, because animals have gone extinct quite recently.
Exactly.
Like Tasmanian tiger, we talk about, even though that still may or may not be around. But maybe humans killed it. We tend to kill species.
I mean,
unfortunately,
let's face it.
just by being us. Not that we have it out for animals.
But no, to
Well,
me,
some people do.
this dang near solidifies 100%. There was something definitely that they're trying to find that no longer exists or is just hidden and we can't find it. We don't know enough. So to me, it's just, I don't know, it solidifies the evidence. So in July of 1845, the Geelong Advertiser describes the bunyip in great detail. It was also the first recorded use of the term bunyip. In January 1847, an unusual skull was found on the Murrumbidgee riverbanks near Balranald, New South Wales. Reports stated that it was the skull of an unidentified creature. It was put on exhibit, and I believe it's still there at the Australian Museum in Sydney as evidence of the bunyip.
I want to research and look and see if they did kind of a computerized what they think the muscle structure is, because they do that with human bones when they find a skull to be like, this is the face of the 10,000-year-old man.
Right.
Our idea of what dinosaurs look like, whether it's right or wrong, is based on that. Like, let's put muscles on this skeleton.
Exactly. And we've seen how we've gotten it wrong, already before, like
It's
with
true.
dinosaurs and stuff, because now we're all, it seems like everybody's conflicted. Did they all have feathers? Didn't they? Like, were they it's like we got a
Yeah.
lot of mixed signals here.
Well, the last I heard, they all had feathers. They're all basically big birds, and
Yeah.
we had it wrong.
Pretty much.
That's kind of where I'm at. I like how Jurassic Park, they did it really smart, because at some point throughout that series, they were just like, yeah, the reason why they look like that and not like the dinosaurs should look with feathers is because of that frog DNA we gave
Mhm.
them. And then everybody in the audience is like, oh, okay, I accept it. All right. very
Wasn't
good."
it in the first Jurassic World? The scientist was like, I believe, I will quote, you said you wanted it to look cool. He's like,
Yeah.
none of the dinosaurs here are real dinosaurs. They are what we've created.
Yeah. Oh, BD Wong. What an actor.
Dude, it was so awesome to see him come back for that role. One legend says, so back to this bunyip. One legend says
That
that
just sounds like an Australian word, doesn't it? Bunyip.
it does.
Yeah.
It really does.
I'm in.
So this is this is the doozy here. There's always got to be a little bit of a spiritual explanation. One legend says that a man named Bunyip broke the rainbow serpent's greatest law by eating his totem animal. Banished by the spirit Biami, The man became an evil spirit that lured tribesmen and their livestock into the water so he could devour them.
I like
So
that legend. That's a lot
that
of fun.
could be, yeah, that's definitely like, yeah.
I think it's funny that the guy's name is Bunyip. That would be
Yeah.
like if we get turned into a creature in like 1,000 years from now. It'd be like, ah, yes, look, that's the Ryan.
Oh.
Got to watch out for the Ryan.
The Joe is back.
Oh shit!
In 1857, in an article entitled The Bunyip, a newspaper reported on the drawings made by Edwin Stockwiller. Amongst the latter drawings, we noticed a likeness of the bunyip, or rather a view of the neck and shoulders of the animal. Mr. Stockwiller informs us that the bunyip is a large freshwater seal having two small paddles or fins attached to the shoulders and a long swan-like neck and a head like a dog and a curious bag hanging under the jaw resembling the pouch of a pelican. The animal is covered with hair like the platypus, and the color is a glossy black. So Mr. Stockwiller saw no less than 6 of these curious animals at different times. His boat was within 30 feet of one near McGuire's Punt on the Goulburn, and he fired at the bunyip but did not succeed in capturing him. The smallest appeared to be about 5 feet in length, and the largest exceeded 15 feet. The head of the largest was the size of a bullock's head. I'm guessing that's a Australian. I don't know what's a bullock. And 3 feet out of the water.
So Ryan, let me ask you: do you think that he came across just a group of seals? Do you think he's misidentifying the bunyip, or do you think those are the bunyip, and maybe it is like a seal species that is just super rare? And do you trust his firsthand account? What do you think?
I kind of do, because he's stating like, dude, I saw 6 of them. He has a pretty good description. He has the long neck description while also having like the black fur of a platypus, like being like this water dwelling odd creature that he's never seen it before. It was so much that he had to draw it and, chase after them,
It's entirely possible that there's just a species that we haven't seen very often, especially when it spends so much time in water. Because let's be honest,
Exactly.
the ocean is not well explored. I mean, from us humans.
And Australia's huge, you know what I mean? And there's so much, there's such possibilities for creatures to completely escape our sight. So after taking a sketch of the animal, Mr. Stockwiller showed it to several members of the Goulburn tribe, who declared that the picture was Bunyip's brother, meaning a duplicate or likeness of the bunyip. I believe the tribe. Like, I almost believe the tribe more than him. So he drew it and showed it to them, and they're like, yep, that's it.
That's fair. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, that's a Joe. That's a Joe and Ryan.
Yep, there's the Joe, there's the Ryan, clear as day.
Got it.
Like, look at its butt. You can tell by the butt. Anyways, the animals moved against the current at the rate of about 7 miles an hour, and Mr. Stockwiller states that he could have approached close to the specimens he observed had he not been deterred by the stories of the natives concerning the power and fury of the bunyip, and by that fact that his gun was only a single barrel and his boat was a very frail description.
I mean, yeah, unless you're set out to go monster hunting, you might not want to go monster hunting. And that being said, even if you set out to monster hunt, that doesn't seem to usually work out for those people either.
No, it doesn't. That's how we lose these people. Thank God. And thank God he showed caution, so that way we could have these drawings.
If I could go my whole life not being killed by an animal or a cryptid or being eaten or devoured or just torn up by some other creature, I'll call it a win, Ryan.
I call that a major win, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's not really a good way to go unless you're just, in your sleep. But being ripped apart by a bunyip might not be the one. Or even worse, just kind of like battered. You know how seals, like elephant seals, they'll fight for dominance on a beach and just kind of bump into each other, and until they literally like beat each other to death until there's one lit. Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool to be the first to, like, if there was a witness that was able to get away, I guess. It's like you'd be solidified into history. It's like, you ever hear about Ryan Lang? Got torn to pieces by a bunyip.
It'd be even better. It's like if you won, like you just come out, you got like a bloody lip, you're a little bruised, but your shirt's off all ripped, and you're just like, I took care of it. And you're like, oh my God.
And I've just got the neck wrapped around my head. And I'm just like walking with it, just dragging it like, I'm cashing in on this.
It's like Hercules with the lion. You're like,
yes.
There goes Lang, the bunyip killer.
That's right. The bunyip slayer.
Does it bother anyone else that it was a baby seal?
It's like it's like it turns out that those weren't just normal mushrooms he ate, and he's just
Just went out and started clubbing seals. I'm fighting bunyips.
It's a bunyip.
Oh my God. Ryan gets a. Now, I like how this has changed from you being a warrior to being just a horrible eco terrorist.
Well, things happen. So, this is an interesting thing. This is cool. The bunyip has successfully embedded itself into modern pop culture in Australia. An Australian horror movie called Bunyip is about a group of city folk who decided to take a hike in the Australian wilderness but end up getting lost and have to survive against the legendary creature.
Yeah, it sounds like a normal survival movie. I think
Yeah.
that would be a lot of fun. We should try to see if we could find that.
I agree. I wonder how they made it look. I wonder which one they probably went with the long neck one, the true one.
Well, it's hard to say because creative license, man.
Oh, that's true.
They could just do whatever they want, really.
Yeah. Another Australian horror movie titled Red Billabong concerns two brothers who uncover their family's secrets and realize that their friends go missing, but don't realize that the legendary Bunyip is to blame and is now stalking them. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'd see it.
In the Australian children's book, The Bunyip of Berkeley's Creek, the bunyip tries to figure out what bunyips look like. The other animals describe bunyips as horrible creatures. So the bunyip decides to live alone where he can be as handsome as he likes. That was like sad and uplifting at
Yeah.
the same time.
It's like The Giving Tree, man. That is the most depressing book I've ever read, is The Giving Tree.
Oh my
that's
God,
that's
that
what
one,
that
yeah.
sounds like.
A little bit, yeah, the missing piece, like kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
I like how the bunyip is very versatile. They're like, in some stories, he might tear you apart. In others, he might,
And he
Just
thinks
be-
he's handsome.
he might just be a good guy.
Bunyip was a titan featured in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, hibernating in Ayers Rock in Australia. However, its name only appears on a monitor. It was awakened by Ghidorah's alpha call. Those are just a few examples. However, this creature is not relegated to television, movies, books, and other forms of media. Throughout Australia, there are underwater animatronics of them, such as the Bunyip of Murray Bridge, which became famous on the internet in the 2020s due to it unintentionally looking disturbing and disgusting by appearance because it was caused by a lack of maintenance. So it just kind of rotted.
But who built it? There was just someone built an animatronic bunyip just to be like, this is my art? Like, what was the reason?
I think that was probably it.
I'm just saying, why are there animatronic bunyips everywhere, Ryan?
It's a good question, but I think it's awesome though. Like you just go into a bridge and there's just like a Bigfoot looking up at you.
I just feel like there's more story here.
I agree. I wonder who did it. So, quite frankly, here at Earthling Entertainment, we believe we should adopt this idea. Let's go out and build a bunch of robotic Sasquatches and put them in the woods. Come on, people. Let's be cool like Australia.
I mean, I'm just saying, Ryan.
That's funny. But
Have you mastered any kind of, robotics lately?
no, not yet.
Okay, so step one, we're going to go to community college.
Okay, here we go.
Unfortunately, I have a film degree that will not help us in this, so I think we should start with electrical engineering.
That's all right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. We'll tackle this, bud. We will make robot Sasquatches, and then we can make a movie about how robot Sasquatches take over the world.
I'm down.
Yeah.
So yeah, just so I can't help but just imagine. I put myself there. You're in Australia. I don't know. Maybe you're doing some fishing. You hear a noise and you turn around, and there's just this long-necked thing with tusks just staring at you.
You know what's kind of funny is I don't know enough about the stuff in Australia. I might look and be like, huh, hey, guide, what is that? And he goes, oh my God, it's a bunyip. And I'd just be like, oh, is that like a koala? And he's like, no, it's a legendary creature. And I'd be like, oh. Ah! Run.
Like, yeah, that's when being a tourist is really bad, right? It's just like, oh, look at this. I'd never even heard of this animal. That's wild.
Yeah. It's like that's when you're sitting there and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, is this the children books one who just wants me to tell him he's handsome?
Right.
Or is this the killer one that's in the horror movie?
Just paddling away as fast as you can. Like, you look so good. You are so handsome. Wow.
Who's a pretty bunyip?
Awesome.
I do get it. I genuinely don't attack people who tell me I'm pretty.
That's true.
So if you see me on the street, guys, just remember, it's not a bad idea to Tell me I look handsome.
All right, so let's paddle away from the Bunyip for now.
Ooh, well done.
Thank you. And we will now journey to the Southern California coast for another interesting UFO story.
On this week's
Disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
Mysterious underwater UFO base believed to be alien hub spotted off Southern Californian coast. This comes to us from HindustonTimes.com. A mysterious underwater formation known as Sycamore Knoll has once again captured public attention, following fresh speculation over its possible extraterrestrial origins.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, it being off the coast of Malibu and it looking like a shelf. But this is like a big update. That's why we're talking about it, guys. There's more. This is more. They're gonna blow your mind.
Located approximately 6.6 miles off the coast of Malibu, Southern California, the formation has long intrigued scientists and now conspiracy theorists too.
Well, we were already
Right.
pretty into it.
Oh, yeah. According to a report by the Daily Mail, the structure appears as a raised bump on the ocean floor with a flat table-like top. It lies about 2,000 feet below the surface, and here's the coordinates. 34 degrees, 1-23.31 north, 118 degrees, and 59, wow, I'm hard at this, 59-45.64 west. So,
Just in case you want to go out there and probably get shot by someone.
yeah, let's not, right? So, yeah, we don't suggest you go there. Maybe you could, like, Google Earth it.
It's kind of like Area 51. You can run towards the base all you want, but they still have guns.
We'll just Naruto run. Remember, that was the whole thing. Arms back, run.
Yeah. I really, while I don't think it would have been a smart idea, I kind of wish I was there to witness some of that.
Yeah, because they actually were really cool about it. They brought agents out and they talked to people. It actually was like a big event. It like became an event that day.
Yeah, well, because it had so much eyes on it, it's not like they could be like, all right, mow them down.
Like that had to be like the first time that like an event on Facebook went that viral. Like it was like millions of people saying they were going. Like they couldn't stop us all. Like let's face it. So
Back to the story at hand.
Google Earth imagery from 2014 showed detailed views of Sycamore Knoll, sparking a wave of public interest. However, the formation appears to have been removed or blurred on the platform as of 2025, further fueling the mystery. Some users argue that the blur is simply due to incomplete data. Sure. One Redditor remarked on a post about Sycamore Knoll, some refer to it as an anomaly, while others believe it's an alien base. It's believed to be between 2.5 and 3 miles wide.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Everything I heard was that it was an alien base. That's
Definitely.
everybody I've talked to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sycamore Knoll first gained mainstream attention in 2014 when it featured on the Fade to Black podcast with host Jimmy Church, who described it as possibly the biggest center of UFO activity since Roswell. Adding fuel to the theories, Congressman Tim Burchett recently claimed an unnamed admiral told him of underwater UFOs as large as a football field, moving at hundreds of miles an hour.
Underwater.
Wouldn't that I could imagine that causing like a tidal wave.
Well, maybe it has to do with some kind of you're right. Something moving that much underwater. I'm just thinking maybe it caused shipwrecks or things that we don't know about. We hear about these ghost ships. Well, if they get a giant wave, what is it, a white squall or something?
Mhm. So the renewed focus. Oh, sorry. One California resident reported seeing a glowing structure above the site. He said it looked like a massive cathedral-shaped structure, multiple pointed edges, all glowing brilliantly white, heading straight into the ocean. There was no splash, no sound, just a flash, and it was gone. The renewed focus on Sycamore Knoll coincides with the new release by Jeremy Corbell, a filmmaker and investigative journalist known for covering military documented UFOs. He recently shared new footage taken aboard the USS Jackson in 2023, which shows what he describes as a self-luminous, wingless, tailless craft emerging from the Pacific Ocean. Corbell said the object resembles those seen in the famous 2004 Nimitz and 2019 Navy UAP encounters, all within warning area 291, the same region where Sycamore Knoll sits. This is not a one-off. This is what he said. This is not a one-off. These intelligently controlled craft have been appearing for decades, Corbell said. A Navy CIC operator reportedly tracked the 2023 object using thermal targeting systems, observing 4 UAPs that executed a coordinated maneuver before vanishing. No visible propulsion, just raw speed and being synchronized. Completely, almost as if they were just 3, 2, 1, and everybody gone.
So what are your thoughts?
100% real.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts? Do you think that's an alien base? Do you think it's our government? Do you think it's like, altered, different dimensional creatures? I know it sounds silly, but you think about like a cursor on a computer, right? Well, I always joked that if we were in the Matrix, if the answer is we're in a simulation,
Yeah.
that might be the reason why certain things seem to defy what we would consider possible. Is what if like the Tic Tac or whatever literally is like a little arrow on someone's screen and it going into the water without a splash and stuff like that. It's just us moving a cursor across the screen.
I mean, there's always that,
That's
right?
that was like that would be a Black Mirror kind of answer.
It would just like some kind of soft leak, right? Like just kind of like, oh yeah, tell them it's a UFO. We fixed it up. It looks good enough. Blur it up a little bit and let the people see it. But when it comes to these things, it's just these coming in and out of the water. I've got a few theories. I think either A, it's like some ancient race, maybe even like related to Atlantis. And
Sure, yeah,
you know
why
what I mean?
not?
And they've lived here long enough that they're just like, just don't mess with the people on shore. They're crazy, they're mean, they're dangerous.
Sure, so almost like a Wakanda or an Atlantean thing from the comics. But if that's the case, do you think Atlanteans are us, or do you think it's a different species?
I want to say probably a different species altogether.
Yeah.
And probably similar to us, obviously, right? Like, but who knows? What if down there they're pumping some
Under
kind of
the
different,
sea.
right?
Dun, 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 dun.
What if they're pumping a different gas? Like they breathe something different that we don't understand. You know what I mean?
Kind of some dome structure or whatever.
Exactly. So that's my first theory.
Okay.
My second theory is that it's Gungans.
That it's Gungans, which for those of you who don't know, is a lovely race from Hyrule, also known as Zelda and Link's
No.
World.
From the Gungans were from Star Wars, Phantom Menace.
Gungans? Oh shit! Okay, what?
Jar Jar
then what
Binks,
am I
Jar Jar
talking about?
Binks.
What is
The Gorons.
the Gorons?
The Gorons were rock people, yeah.
Sorry guys, I was completely off in my pop culture reference. Yeah, you're referring to Jar Jar Binks's people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So,
Sorry. I had
if
to do
it's
it.
That'd be great if it's Gungans and they're only hiding under the ocean because they don't want to be killed because they all saw the reception to episode 1.
Yep, they
Yeah.
knew it.
Yeah, because Jar Jar was real. And
Yeah.
George Lucas got him and he's like, this is the way we'll introduce your race to the world and everyone's going to love you. And now they're like, great, we got to hide for another couple thousand years. Jeez.
I don't
Thanks,
know why.
Lucas.
Just you saying this is the way and talking about Jar Jar, I envision Jar Jar with like a Mandalorian helmet on and just like, these are the way.
Wonderful. Do you have another theory?
So my third theory is aliens, of course, but I have it as third because of this. Like I keep thinking like aliens that are coming, it's like, why don't they utilize the land more? Why don't they just wipe us out? I can't help but wonder.
I mean, why their motivation for not wiping us out, I wouldn't know. But hiding in the ocean makes sense because if they don't want to be seen, we can't really go get them. We can't really
Exactly.
do much. Plus, parts of the ocean, they don't belong to any particular country. So at that point, it's kind of like, well, whose jurisdiction is this?
Right. It gets a little weird, right? And then, like you said, 2,000 feet below water, there ain't nothing we're going to be able to do. And if the thing can truly move, what did it say, like 100 miles per hour,
Yeah.
being almost 3 miles wide? There is nothing we can do about that.
moving that fast underwater just seems impossible.
I mean, to us, but like we don't understand how these things move. We don't understand what they do.
Which is why I'm like, it's a cursor on a giant computer, Ryan.
Right? Or it's like some kind of weird gravity time thing where it literally like almost like the ship. What was it? It was Futurama, wasn't it? Where the ship doesn't move; it moves the universe around the ship.
Yeah,
Is how he described it. What if it's something like that?
could be. It's very interesting.
That it is interesting.
I also the different creatures from a different dimension. So instead of aliens, instead of terrestrial creatures, which were your two
Mhm.
two theories, what if it is coming from another dimension? And how they're getting in and out of the water is literally like almost phasing in and out of our reality. So the water, they don't need a splash because when they go through, at the instant they go through, they basically phase into their reality, and we don't
Ooh.
see anything of
That's interesting
right?
because yeah, so it's almost like they like use the water as the portal. Like you like that's interesting.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's pretty weird, Joe.
But yeah, it is weird. You know, it's a weird theory. If you guys have a weird theory, please hit us up at Earthling Entertainment Podcast at gmail.com, or you could hit us up on Instagram or Facebook. But speaking of weird, you know what else is weird, Ryan?
Fortune cookies?
A little bit.
Like
And
aren't they a little oddly like most of the time they're just like a statement. Like they're not a fortune.
they're not really a fortune. It's true. There's like, you will have great luck today.
Like it doesn't
Okay.
even do that for me. It's always just like a smile is better than a frown. Like it'll say stuff like that, and I'm just like that doesn't help me.
It's true. And it's weird that they don't do fortunes like they do in TV shows and movies. Do you remember this one from Rocco's Modern Life when we were kids?
By heart.
All right, please tell us. Let's say you open up a fortune cookie, Ryan. What does it say?
And I believe it was Filbert the turtle. Bad luck and extreme misfortune will infest your pathetic soul for all eternity. Oh wait, no, wasn't that Rocco? I think it was Rocco because I remember Filbert being like, "Oh, that sounds bad."
That's a bad fortune.
And then he had like a whole tower, like he got like a pile of fortune cookies, and he forced Filbert and Heifer to sit with him, and they each went around and they all had nice ones, and every time Rocco opened one, it was the same one.
Well, you know what? That might happen in real life. Did you know?
It might happen to you guys, like for real.
And this is where we're going to talk about it on this week's
Real World Weird.
Sydney restaurant owner told to censor her profanity-laced fortune cookies after a factory mix-up.
I really like this story. Ryan found this one, and I couldn't be happier. Good job, bud.
This comes to us from 9news.com. A Sydney restaurant owner who sells gag fortune cookies has been told to censor her products after an awkward factory mix-up. Naji Chu, the owner of popular Vietnamese restaurant Lady Chu in Potts Point in Sydney's inner city, put through an order of profanity-laced fortune cookies for Valentine's Day.
Which makes perfect sense. I love it.
I do too. I wish. She was shocked and slightly tickled to receive a response from her manufacturer, who said that they were no longer accepting quote unquote offensive language after her messages were mistakenly mixed into other customers' orders.
Yes. Can you
Yes.
imagine you at a normal Chinese restaurant or whatever, and you open it up, you're just like you said, it was the Rocco's Modern Life thing.
Yeah.
It's today is a good day to meet friends, and then your hard work will pay off soon, and then I hope you know that your wife is cheating on you
Yes.
and by a midget.
Yes. And it's like, yeah, like what if grandma's favorite restaurant, right? Like, oh, we're taking grandma out. It's like, oh, mine's great. What does yours say, grandma? Oh my Lord.
Grandma has a heart attack. Like, your husband is waving to you from hell.
Oh God.
Jesus.
I knew it. I said
I knew it.
I always knew.
That
So-
bastard.
And you're never gonna convince her. She's like, no, the fortune cookie told me.
I just want to find the old person who like lives their life based on fortune cookies.
I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they're out there. So she says, I said, this is a personal attack, and you're discriminating against my messages, Chu told 9news.com. It's for my customers, within the context of me and my brand. If you're getting it mixed up with other restaurants, that's not my fault.
And she's absolutely right.
100%. In an email, the manufacturer said their other customers were quite upset to find Chew's messages inside their custom cookies at the end of last year. So I love that. As a result, management have decided to no longer accept customized orders with offensive or expletive words, the email read. Chu was told she could order empty cookies from her supplier and insert the funny messages herself. She hit back at the manufacturer in an email after her joke fortunes were rejected. I don't see why this is my problem. My orders are private and is my IP, and if your factory gets it mixed up with other people's orders, then this is your error, not mine, she said. My messages are private and are for my clientele and are within our context. They all get my humor. Some of Chew's fortune messages include,
Here we go. Strap in.
the year of the snake bears good fortune. Your divorce is coming soon. And I only married you for your money, you ugly C word. That's awesome.
I feel like, what do you think? That's,
C-U.
yeah, that's what I was going with.
Chu said her Valentine's Day order was not fulfilled, and she's been stuck inserting the messages into cookies herself ahead of the February 14th of this year. So she worked her butt off to get it. She still did it.
Can you imagine hiring someone to do that? You get like a high school kid and you're like, all right, we'll give you minimum wage, whatever, but you got to sit here and just like, your entire job is putting these little pieces of paper into a cookie. I mean, are they done by hand? They probably are in a normal factory, right? Is there a machine that does that?
Yeah, there's a machine because they're always printed. You know what I mean? But I mean,
for the inserting of the cookie, because you gotta cook the cookie, obviously. So then you have to wait till the cookie's done before it's inserted. So is there a machine that does that, or is it just people? But anyways, it gotta take a long time.
Yeah, there's like there's little slits in the side that you can stuff it in.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assume if she just kind of typed it out, and just had a bunch of them typed out, you could probably cut them each, so you don't have to be handwriting each
like
one.
I said, I'd hire someone for minimum wage. Be like, your whole job is just putting these fortunes in these cookies.
And just imagine how pissed off you are by the end of that. So the messages are just getting meaner.
She's not typing each individual one.
What she is.
We're in the world of computers and printers.
So despite so
they're all handwritten,
right? So it's labor-intensive work, but she wants her customers to enjoy her cheeky signature messages. Despite complaining, Chu said she was firmly told her orders can no longer contain offensive language or profanities, and she won't go to another supplier with the manufacturer the best value for her restaurant. She says, last year I spent close to $10,000 with them. She added, for now, Chu is happy to chalk it up to a funny Curb Your Enthusiasm style moment. I'm gonna just take out the profanities and be creative, Chu said. They'll still be funny and rude, just no swear words.
I feel like she's admitting defeat, and I don't think you should.
I don't think so either, but I think after doing it this year, she was just like, well, that sucked.
Yeah, like something's got to change.
Yeah.
And I get it, because it's like, if you have a supplier and but I mean, can you not threaten the company? I mean, the company, I don't know how big that is, but can you not be like $10,000 a year you're losing, right? So, I mean, I guess you have to be making a lot more than that to not care, to be like, we could lose her as a customer.
And that's where my mind goes. It's probably hilarious, like how many people got rude messages in their fortune cookie from like just random places around the world. Because if they're willing to just be like, yeah, we'll lose your $10,000 bit. We don't care. I want to go to a restaurant now, and I'm gonna freaking try. Let's just try. Let's try our luck. Who knows? We might get one.
Coming June 7th, 2025, it's the 3rd annual Cryptids and Paranormal Conference held at Our House. With guest speakers Ronnie LeBlanc, Expedition Bigfoot, paranormal researcher Lyle Blackburn, ghost hunter Ron Iacovetti, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and from Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler. That's June 7th, 2025. Our House, located at 420 Adelphia Road, Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tickets are $45, available at Eventbrite. We will see you there.
Earthling Entertainment special report. 1. The Addams Family spin-off Wednesday. Second season starts August 6th, followed by part 2 on September 3rd. 2. The highly anticipated PlayStation video game Ghosts of Yotai will be released October 2nd, 2025. 3. Jesse Plemons joins the Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping, as Plutarch Heavensby. 4. The body horror twist on Cinderella, The Ugly Stepsister, begins streaming on Shudder May 9th. This has been Earthling Entertainment Special Report. Special.
Calling all comic fans, it's time to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics, where the freshest new issues, graphic novels, and manga hit the shelves every week. Whether you're looking for the hottest new series or the latest small press sensation, we've got it all. Every genre for every age, Green Brain Comics is your one-stop shop for all things graphic storytelling. Got questions? Our friendly staff knows their stuff. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the world of comics, we've got recommendations that'll keep you coming back for more. And don't forget to check out our special events. Green Brain Comics is not just a store, it's a community. Located in East Downtown Dearborn, we are at Green Brain Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shop online at greenbraincomics.com, and remember to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics.
It's true, you made it through to the second half of the show.
Congratulations, you've made it to part 2 of the show, the pop culture section.
Woo!
And like I mentioned earlier, occasionally we have to talk about celebrity deaths, people who have meant something to us in a way that only pop culture can provide. And I was a huge fan of the Friday the 13th franchise. You too, Ryan, right?
Oh yeah, that was always my favorite. Everybody had their favorite, horror guy. Mine was always Jason.
Well, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to a particular scream queen from that franchise on this week's...
Remember that guy? Remember that gal? Well, now they're dead.
Friday the 13th, Part 7 star Lar Park Lincoln has passed away. This comes to us from BloodyDisgusting.com. It is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of Lar Park Lincoln, Actors Audition Studios, which Lincoln founded, shared on Facebook. Over her 45-year career, Lar left an unforgettable mark on Hollywood through her dynamic performances and dedication to mentoring aspiring actors. Lincoln is best known for squaring off against Jason Voorhees as telekinetic final girl Tina Shepard in The New Blood. She reprised the role in 2021 fan film Roseblood. She also appeared in House 2, The Second Story, 13 Fanboy, Sky Sharks, and an episode of Freddy's Nightmares.
So she did both franchises. There you go.
Interesting. Yeah. Lincoln's TV credits include a recurring part on Knots Landing and guest starring spots on Beverly Hills 90210 and Murder, She Wrote. The Dallas-based entrepreneur published a book about a career in the entertainment industry, Get Started, Not Scammed, in 2008. Lincoln's family requests privacy during this time and is grateful for the outpouring of love. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation or Entertainment Community Fund. Lar Park Lincoln, you will be missed.
You will be missed. And you know what? That Friday the 13th Part 7, while not my favorite, is pretty close to my favorite. I think it might be second or third. Do you know that was originally, the concept for it originally was Jason versus Carrie?
That makes sense because, yeah, she was telekinetic.
Yeah, and it was the first time that Jason actually had a foe that could stand up to his level of power. Because let's be honest, most of these movies are people escaping death and then by the skin of their teeth defeating the villain, not a straight up toe-to-toe fight, with the exception of Freddy vs. Jason, of course.
That's true. And that was a good one. I remember the last of the early Jasons were all classics, but I don't know. They really, I don't know why. It was one of those franchises where I liked them more.
As they got more campy and weird.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say 1 through 8, and most people agree because that's when they stopped calling them Friday the 13th. But I feel like 1 through 8 is the original kind of chunk of what it is. And then you get Jason Goes to Hell, and then followed by, and then there's Jason X, and then there's Freddy vs. Jason, and then there's the remake, which that 2000, I believe, 12 remake, or might be 2008 actually.
I have no idea.
That is a highly underrated one. But this one,
it was good.
Yeah, this one, number 7, The New Blood. I just remember feeling like we were back at the camp.
Well, definitely, she will be missed, and she is a legend. Friday the 13th is awesome. My favorite for sure. Rest in peace, Lar Park Lincoln.
You will be missed. Well, now I think we should jump into our celebrity interview.
Nice.
Yeah, this guy is Alan Maxson. Great guy, a lot of fun. It's tough because I want to give you this big introduction, but we're talking about so many good things that he does that I don't want to spoil it. I mentioned the Oscars. There's a couple other series, and even maybe a big one by Legendary Pictures. Maybe a Titan from Japan. He was involved with one of those movies, perhaps.
Ooh.
Yeah. But you know what? He'll tell you all about it right now. Let's jump into the interview. You ready?
I'm ready.
Please enjoy this interview with creature feature actor Alan Maxson, also known as Monster Maxson. Hey guys, I'm sitting here with Alan Maxson, and he is just a phenomenal artist and actor who specializes in usually prosthetic makeup and other creature features and things like that. He's also a writer and director, and we couldn't be happier to have him on the show. He's worked on films big and small, and here he is. Alan, how you doing, man?
Good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming. I can't tell you how happy I am to talk to you. We've been trying to set this up for a little bit. Scheduling is terrible.
I know, but I'm grateful that it's finally happening. I feel like we'll tell the audience now, but we've worked together in the past.
We have, yeah. And a Conehead skit back in the day.
Oh yeah, that was so fun. Although I gotta tell you, I used to love peas, like the food, a lot.
Sure.
Split pea soup, just peas and they're good. But then in this film, you had me eat an entire bowl of peas,
Yeah.
and I haven't had peas or split pea soup since, and that was 10 years ago.
Oh my God. I am sorry for ruining that for you. I think I ruined sauerkraut for someone at one point too.
What's it with you making people eat a lot of food on your set?
Something funny to me about eating large amounts of strange items. I don't know. But the last time I actually saw you was on the big screen. Well, I shouldn't say the big screen, but it was a big screen for me. I have a pretty good sized TV. The Oscars. You did some creature feature work there. Could you expand upon that? Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, so I played the sandworm, the Dune 2 sandworm. Most people remember the beginning part, where me as a worm, I get rolled on stage with the piano and I play chopsticks while Conan is dancing. Um, and then again, if people stuck with it, I know the Oscars are long and people have small attention spans, but if you stayed through to the end of the Oscars, at the middle way point, I also made another appearance playing the harp, in the orchestra.
As one does.
Exactly. But I gotta say that was honestly one of the most fun jobs I've ever had in my entire career. It was just so much fun every day, all the rehearsals. I didn't have a single bad moment. It was just great.
Wonderful. How did you get in touch? Were you approached because of your past work as a creature actor, or was it a mentor or a colleague who pointed you in the right direction? How did this come about?
A combination of all of those.
All right.
So yeah, I think my name kind of gets thrown in the hat frequently when there's non-human characters, for that are needed for portrayal. And then this one particularly, a good friend of mine, Richard Dorton, who I was in Godzilla with, he reached out and he's like, "Hey, a big award show is in need of a suit performer for a creature.
Was he
Are
hush
you?"
hush when did he was he like a big award show? Wink wink.
Oh, that's all he could tell me. He couldn't tell me anything. So I was like, Richard, whatever you say. If they need it, count me in. So they passed my name along with a few others on, and then I think it had been a less than a week before I got the call saying, "Get your butt down here to the Oscars."
Wow, I have to imagine they do all kinds of checks, and maybe that's why it took so long. They're like, all right, we're gonna give background check, make sure he's not a crazy.
Oh yes, the security was very intense. I had to go hours in advance on my first day of rehearsal to get like a badge, to get your credentials, and it was a big process, multiple lines to get through, and I remember even I at one point, I don't think it was the day of rehearsals, but it was the day of shooting, or maybe the day before, because we had 3 different days of rehearsals. And the closer we got, they actually made me pop my trunk, just do a quick inspection, make sure I didn't have anything shady in the trunk, and they were very thorough because there's a lot of high level people there.
Yeah, high profile people. I guess it's a good thing they do that. I kind of wish
Yeah.
we lived in a world where we didn't have to check trunks, but there we are. But
Yeah.
that just sounds like an amazing experience. Like, how was it being on that stage, looking off at all those people, and knowing that you might not be there again until when you win your Oscar?
Best performance of a worm during the Oscars goes to
Hey, I will point out that Andy Serkis did, granted that was motion capture, but it could happen.
anything is possible. I actually never thought I would actually even be on stage at the Oscars, even in the capacity of this. So like you're right, anything is possible because I would never have thought, yeah, they're gonna need a monster. I think the last thing I can recall that had something similar was like didn't RoboCop's big droid monster thing like shoot at Pee Wee Herman at one point and the Oscars?
Yeah,
Um,
that might be the winner on that one as far as pop culture is concerned.
but no, it was awesome, and yeah, man, I hope maybe I get to revisit the Oscars one day. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Hey, man, and speaking of firsts, I also heard that you played a first live action character in a huge Ninja Turtle project. I mean, a fan film, but still, kind of hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, this was a really cool thing that Scotty Fields, he's an effects guy in Los Angeles. He made a trailer for his version of the Ninja Turtles, and in the trailer it was just Bebop and Rocksteady. But it was supposed to be like adult. So we're drinking beers and shooting um automatic weapons, and it was awesome. The trailer is only like a minute and a half or something like that. So if you search on YouTube Blood Brothers effects Ninja Turtles Bebop and Rocksteady or something like that, it'll come up. But it was so cool, and his suits are so badass. And he ended up making a ton. He has a ton of the suits for the turtles, and I actually wore a suit for Leatherhead,
Oh,
which
really?
was giant. The leg extensions and the headpiece and the tail. It was big. I think it was like 9 feet tall or something crazy when I was in it. But we shot something for it, but I never saw anything publicly released. I know there's pictures, but I don't think he did anything with footage for it. I think we shot footage, but I don't think we released it. But I think the goal was he was going to do crowdfunding and make his own film, and I just don't think it ever ended up happening. But the trailer's online.
I mean, that's amazing because I thought I was crazy and I had only seen the trailer, and that was one of my next questions. It's like, where can I see it?
Yeah, I
That
think it's
makes
on.
a lot of sense.
It's really cool, and it's really like adult. That was the goal. And it would be awesome. I hope one day he can continue. I know he has all the suits still, and he's still making some. I've seen them, so maybe it'll happen.
Well, I got to be honest. I only brought up the Ninja Turtle thing because I'm such a huge fan of Ninja Turtles. I know there's so many other things that you've done on a much bigger capacity. Why don't you tell me something? What is one of your favorites? You have almost 100 credits in your IMDb, and quite frankly, I couldn't narrow down what to ask you about. I mean, my one friends back in the day would be like, ask him about the Evil Bong series. So, you know what? Maybe if you got a story about that flick.
So in the Evil Bong franchise, I play 3 different characters. I play the Ginger Dead Man's mouth, not his voice, and not the puppet, but just the mouth performance.
That's a whole ensemble to make that guy come alive.
It really is. So it's kind of like the annoying orange, if anyone knows what that is. They paint my mouth the same as like the cookie, colors and stuff from the Ginger Dead Man, and I put in the teeth so I look like Gary Busey because he played the original.
Sure, sure.
Um, and then they basically film my mouth performing because they like it over exaggerated with a lot of tongue and a lot of lip. And so I'll do the performance in the dialogue with the mouth. They superimpose it onto the cookie, and then the voice actor uses that as a guide for the performance for like to match the lips basically. And it takes the puppeteer, the voice, and my lips to bring that character to life. And I do the same for the Ginger Weed Man. Um, and then, so those are in the Evil Bong. I think I started in either Evil Bong 4 or 5 is my first one. I don't remember, but I'm in all of them after that, with playing the mouth. But then there's the Ginger Weed Man got a solo movie, and Brooks Davis, who is the director of that, he's the head visionary of that wacky movie, and he was kind enough to bring me on as the illustrious leader. And I'm going to spoil it because if you haven't seen it by now, then either too late or you just don't care about those movies, so it's fine. But the illustrious leader is the Ginger Dead Man. And at the end, revealed, so like I'm a full 6 foot size Ginger Dead Man. So for the first time after all the Evil Bong movies, I finally got to play the body, the lips, and the voice of the Ginger Dead Man in the Ginger Weed Man movie.
It finally happened. The culmination, the what is it? The Avengers of the Ginger Dead Man universe and the Evil Bog universe finally come
Well,
together.
well, it's funny because it's like I remember watching the first Ginger Dead Man movie in high school and being like, "This movie's hilarious. It's wacky," and I never thought that I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna one day those lips will be mine."
That just, I mean, the whole team together there. And you've done that before. So there was three people to make that character. And I seem to remember, I mean, I'm sure there was hundreds of people to bring this next character I'm going to bring up, but there was three main guys doing Gorgira. Am I correct? You were one of the heads in Godzilla King of the Monsters, one of the biggest monster flicks that have come out in the last few years.
Yes, it's funny you say a few years. It seems like it was very recent, but that was the long old time of 2019.
That was
That
the
was
before times.
that was before the world changed. It's been very different since. And then we filmed it a whole year or more before that even. So it's like to me, it was so long ago. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Jason Lyles, Richard Dorton, and myself, um, we all played Ghidorah, and basically every in the movie, every fight scene you see with Ghidorah and Godzilla, we did in real life. We had an actor who played Godzilla, and the three of us, Ghidorah, and we choreographed and fought it all on a mocap stage with Mike Dory directing us and critiquing us, and it was just that was also a blast. That was a really cool movie, and I think the biggest thing for that one was the fans because it's such a huge franchise that we couldn't help but just get a lot of eyeballs on us, and so we had a lot of fun. Seeing how much people cared, especially in modern day, like kaiju's, it's not man in a suit anymore. And so it was really cool to be able to bring it to life in a modern day way.
Absolutely. How many? I'm just curious because I know it's different for every film, and the amount of time Gojira was actually on screen, I have to imagine was somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes. So, how many days were you guys there working on that film to get all the facial and body movements that you had to capture?
Yeah, you know what? I would love internet. Tell us, leave a comment or something. Tell us how many minutes Ghidorah's on screen in that film because I don't know, but no, we only filmed for 3 days actually because they had the whole movie already done. So they knew what they needed. It was very specific the moments that they needed, and in fact, before our filming, we all met at the Legendary Studios and went to their screening room, and we got to watch the whole movie a year before it came out. So we could see our part because basically they had previs um, animation in there,
Yeah, the
and
animatics.
and Mike wanted us to see um, what we were doing. So it was cool. We got invited the day before to go see the whole movie. So that was a lot of fun.
Were you called back at any point after for I don't know any of the parties, any of the premieres, or any of that to just do some talks and press or anything like that? Maybe a webisode. I mean, what? How was your experience after your work? Were you embraced by the community?
Yeah, I think after was actually probably the most important part Um, I'm assuming for all of us would agree. Because one, we got to go to the red carpet at the Grauman. So that's another, it's like the Oscars. Like you never imagine you're gonna get to go to a red carpet premiere of a movie you're in at the Grauman. That's just
Chinese
huge.
theater is iconic. I mean, that was where Star Wars premiered.
Yes, yes. So that's just a thing that you're just like, holy crap, that happened. And I remember at the premiere, it was really cool. We saw lots of people that were involved in the film, but one of the memorable moments was this guy came up to us. He said, "Oh my God, you guys are the monsters? Can I get a picture with you?" And we did a selfie. We all made the monster pose, and he did it with us. And we're like, "What did you do on the film?" Because it's the red carpet. Most people there worked on it. And he goes, "Oh, I composed the music." And we're like, "Wait, Bear?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's me." I go, "Oh my God." So we were all like fanboying out that like he's one of the most amazing modern day composers.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was great to see him and see that he was excited to meet us. That was a fun moment. And then afterwards, we did a whole circuit for the conventions. We went to many states, doing panels and autographs and stuff. And that was a lot of fun because, like you said, the fans really did embrace us. Um, at least the ones we saw. I'm sure there's always haters out there, but no,
One
we
guy
got
in the back with his arms crossed, just giving you a meat mugging.
there was
I would have
fun.
done Gojira different.
Well, there was this one we went to, I forget where, it was in some state. I don't know, maybe Fayetteville or something, but um this guy comes up and he's like standing there just staring at us, and then the three of us, we tend to it's rare for someone to want an autograph from one of the Ghidorah heads. They usually want all three.
Sure, sure.
Complete the whole set. And and he's just staring at us all like quiet, and so to break the ice, one of us asked like, "Did you like the movie?" And he looks at us and he just calmly says, "Well, I didn't fall asleep." And we're like, okay, so to me that is like a lukewarm, you know
I give it a C.
but he still paid for an autograph and a picture with all of us. So we're like, liked it enough that you would give money to do this. So like it was just the funniest interaction. Like, oh, I didn't fall asleep. Anyways, I'll get a picture. Let's get some autographs.
Maybe he thought he was just the funniest guy in the world. He was like,
Yeah, on purpose. Yeah.
is really dry humor. Now I'm imagining him with like a sharp British accent.
But there were some really cool ones. I remember once in New York, there was a couple that they actually brought like I don't know what you would call it, like a guy with them to watch us autograph to approve that it was authentic.
Yeah.
And the moment they signed it, they'd slide it in this case and they'd airtight seal it shut, and they'd escort each other away. So like from visual autograph to taking it back to like where they sealed it up to prove and have an authentication that it was not forged. It was some of those things were really cool to see because like, wow, I didn't know it was that serious, but
Yeah.
you don't no one wants to take autograph.
I mean, at one point I got a Doctor Who comic autographed, and it was the same thing. There was a signature series, and there was someone from the CGC to make sure put it in the case right there. And I mean, it's
Yep.
a big old game.
Yeah, cool. So the fans have been great, and I think they've all been very kind and supportive, and it's been a community that we are now a part of, and we will be forever. That we just didn't anticipate. It's just really cool to be a part of something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a franchise that has been around for now about, what is it, 70 years? Something like that. Because I think it was 55 the first one came out in Japan. Uh,
Yep.
don't quote
54.
me on that. I'm just spitballing here. But
54.
54? Okay, so I was pretty damn close. I take pride in my useless knowledge. But hey, man, I want to know, is there any of those? I started this question earlier and then kind of veered into my own. Is there any movie or film or project that you've worked on that really meant something to you, whether it was just a good time or, passion project? And, hold your horses. We're going to talk about your movie in a second. I'm talking about other projects for this last bit.
Hold your horses. You're from Michigan, if I recall, right?
I am, yeah.
So am I. That is totally a Michigander. Hold your horses, Spanky. Well, to answer your question though, yeah, I last year I spent 32 days in the jungles of Indonesia filming a movie, and it comes out this summer on Shudder, and I'm very, very proud of it. It's called Orangutan, and I believe the American name will be Monster Island,
Ooh.
but Orangutan translates to jungle fishman. It translates to fishman. Um, Kind of like how orangutan translates to jungle man, I believe. Don't quote
Makes
me, but I
sense.
think. And so this is like fish man. I'm basically it's kind of like the suit I wore is kind of it's like a creature from Black Lagoon meets Predator style. And I'm just very, very proud of the film because I did so many amazing fight scenes and wire work flung like 20 feet up in the air and um, lots of stunts and just choreographed awesome kills and fights and a lot of fun and also like just being in a country that I never thought I'd spend so much time in and it was just honestly I'll never forget it. It was like the Oscars, one of my favorite things I've ever worked on, and so I'm very proud of it. And I think my performance is going to be um, my favorite performance as of yet. So I hope everybody, when it comes out on Shudder, goes to check it out.
That should be coming out this summer, right?
I believe so. I don't have an exact date, but I saw some Variety and Deadline articles just announced that Shudder picked it up. So I think probably soonish, give or take.
That's really encouraging as far as I'm concerned, because some of these films that Shudder has picked up, I mean, they seem to be pretty good. I mean, most of them that they've come out with.
Shudder
So
does, they scout out some really good films.
that bodes well for this one. I know you're really high on the call sheet. Yeah, I would say you were damn close to the lead, if not the lead, sir.
Yeah, well, there's in my mind when you play an orangutan and the name of the movie is Orangutan.
I mean, you are the title character.
So yeah, I'm very excited. I think everybody's gonna like it. It reminds me a lot of a movie called Hell in the Pacific, which is from the 60s, I think, 60s or 70s, and it takes place in World War II. And there's a Japanese soldier and American soldier, and they're stuck on an island and forced to get along. And it's kind of similar to that, where it takes place during the same war, and it's a Japanese soldier and a British soldier, and they encounter an orangutan, and
Yeah,
so
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
yep, and it's really cool. And if you search for the film Monster Island Orangutan, I think there's at least one, maybe two trailers online and synopsis and some stuff. And so if anyone's interested in that kind of thing, you can go check it out. And there's a couple pictures of the monster already online too. So yeah, I think monster creature feature fans will like it.
I know I'm going to be a huge fan, but guys, if you can't wait, if you want to see something right now, there's a movie you can go find right now on Tubi. It's out there. Check out the website. It is Alien Planet, and that is written and directed by our very own Alan Maxson. He did just such a fun job. As someone who's lived in LA and worked in the film industry, I can tell you that one of the best parts is when you get to do a passion project and call in all of those favors that you've been building up over the years. And yeah, the results speak for themselves. I loved your movie. I thought it was so much fun. It was gorier than I thought. You really built the world with some exposition there at the beginning, but I'm in, man. Tell us about it. Tell us all about it. Let's hear about your film, Alan Maxson's Alien Planet.
Well, thank you. I appreciate. I'm glad you liked it.
I did actually, yeah.
I think it's a very genre film. So like I think if people like things like Enemy Mine, or Star Trek V, the miniseries, Alien Nation, those type of science fiction, that's what this is. With a lot more blood.
There's a Star Trek Next Generation episode called The Enemy, and it reminded me a lot of that
The
episode as
Quark
well.
and Odo one.
Yeah, I think so.
Quark and Odo are stuck on a planet together.
What do you do, right? So man, how did this come about? You got the idea. Did it start off because you're like, I want to do this makeup, or was it I had a good idea for a story? What triggered the creation of this film?
The story. I've been wanting to make a story similar to that for a very, very long time. I I love all those films that I just named, and so this is kind of my love letter to all of those. I wanted to put my mark into those and say for the all the other people that also love those style films where it's science fiction with social commentary. And I wanted to leave my mark and I wanted to give back to what I've loved so much. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of my morals and empathy and consideration for just the world from those type of things. And if you are familiar with those things, Star Trek is very big for social commentary. And then if anyone knows V, the miniseries, um, goddamn, more now than ever, that series is very, just I feel like the world needs to watch it. We need people to understand walking in other people's shoes and I think that's what I wanted from Alien Planet. And so I built this world that was my own world. And if you pay attention in the movie, there's quite a few social commentary points in it. There's a lot of stuff in there because I wanted to touch on a little bit of anything that I felt someone either needed to hear or just needed to be ingrained in them at a young age to help them have more empathy towards their fellow mankind and other species too, not just humans. I think we need a lot more empathy for animals in our world right now. And so that's what I made that for. And then on top of it, obviously, I wanted it to be fun.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of action, there's a lot of gore because like you can't just preach social commentary.
sure.
Otherwise, it gets heavy-handed or it's boring. You have to have excitement. It has to be something to keep you engaged. That's what the alien part is, like V, while it is a huge commentary for a lot of things, you're fully immersed in, oh crap, there's UFOs and lizard people under human skin. Like it's exciting on top of the morals.
And for
And
those listening, we're recommending the original V, not the sequel series that came out years later. The V Final Battle, and then they had one season, and there were diminishing returns, but the first one is amazing.
yeah, and I really say like if you like the original miniseries, keep going. Watch the final battle after. I feel like miniseries and final battle, you kind of have to like it's all one continual. I mean, the TV series is also continual, but
Fair, yeah.
I feel like it was like a yes and like they added it afterwards is what it feels like. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was kind of like how can we keep going with it? But the miniseries and the final battle are just like you watch them all the way through and you're just like your jaw drops with how awesome it is. Um and so yeah, a little bit of that, and then on top of it, being a creature actor, I love prosthetics, and so I wanted to create my own world um, from my visions. I wanted these to be characters and species of my own creation, and I didn't want humans. There are zero humans in this movie. It is all aliens, puppets, and monsters. Unlike all of the other things I named, there's always one human in it to relate to. This one, I want it to be Earth does not exist. Humans are not even a thing. And so those were my main reasons for wanting to make it. And I've been wanting to make something like that for a very long time. And then, after fancying a few things and kind of like mulling on ideas, the pandemic hit. And I didn't have a job for a while, like many of us. And so I just bunkered down and I treated writing the script like a job. I worked on it 40 hours a week, eight hours every day, and I just pounded out, and that was my pandemic movie. Unfortunately, the pandemic movie turned into a 3-year long journey because making a movie is not easy, especially on a small budget. But
Yeah.
the initial writing of it, I did during that section, and then it kind of just trickled out. And then once things picked back up, I was spending every free moment I had, every night, every weekend for the next 3 years solid, making the movie.
And I mean, it shows. I was really, really impressed with so many aspects of this film. So you said you helped come up with the makeup. So did you go to a makeup artist you were already familiar with and collabed with them, or was there someone who was already there from the beginning? How did you approach that aspect?
There's multiple steps to it. So the very, very first step I did was I hand drew kind of what I was going for. I'm not good at drawing. So they looked absolutely terrible. So I made like a PDF breakdown. I had my hand drawn thing, and then I also had references. So example like we'll talk about I guess the alien prosthetics part for Locke and Brocheet. I drew them, but then I also took pictures from other films that I liked. Like I said, I liked the lips from this creature. I like the skin texture from this prosthetic. I like the color from this creature. And then I even had things in there like some plants and some like animals here on Earth, and I kind of had a breakdown of what I was going for to go along with my terrible drawing.
Sure, like a
Um,
whole lookbook.
exactly. And then I took that to a real artist. I initially took it to Aiden Casserly, and he drew a much better version of what I was going for. Um, and that kind of became the springboard. And then I took that and added it to my lookbook. Then I took that to, so if we're still talking about the prosthetics, I took that to Todd Tucker at Illusion Industries, and I showed him that artwork. I showed him my original artwork and all the concept references, and him and Martin Asti sculpted it, and we went through a few rounds of. He would show me videos and pictures of the sculpts, and we tweak little things. There's barely any tweaking because they are good and they knew what I liked. So it was like when I say there's tweaking, it was more like I just looked at it and said, "Yeah,
Yeah,
thumbs
very good.
up."
Well, I love
He
Todd Tucker. I know he does great work. My buddy worked on Tales of Halloween, I believe, or it was the
Tales
Creeper.
of Halloween.
Yeah, there was a Doug Jones film where he played the Creeper, and I got to visit his workshop when my buddy was working on that one. So awesome guy, a lot of professionals, man.
Yeah, Todd is amazing. He's a very close friend of mine. I love Todd. Um, and but we had multiple people. There was such we it was because it was such a small budget and so many different things. I had multiple people. So then we also had Scotty Fields who did those Ninja Turtles you spoke about earlier.
Yeah, of course.
He created all the plants that are in the movie. And then Tom Devlin, he made the Dweller and Gyri, 1313 Effects, him and his team. And then even to add on top of Todd's, they sculpted it, but to pull the actual foam fabrication, because we had roughly 55 or 60 prosthetics, because you can't reuse them. So we had a face and a cowl for every day of shooting for every character. So we had 60 prosthetics, and those were all foam fabricated from Tim Phoenix. So his company did that. And then one other step was Alexis Payanessa. She painted all of them. And she had a whole team on set applying and painting these prosthetics every day. So it was like a huge team. And it wasn't just one house, it was all these different people that kind of had to come together to create the look. And I'm just so grateful that they were all willing to, because
Yeah.
I'm very happy with how they look.
I mean, you should be. And as the director, I want to compliment you. You did a great job knowing how many teams worked on all those different pieces, keeping like a visual coherency throughout. You nailed it, man. And I love the spaceship. I wanted to say that. You mostly see the cockpit. I get that, but I love the flying and the landing and all that. Was that also designed by anyone in like with Todd or anybody like that? And was
Oh,
that physical or
another-
was it all digital artifacts?
all practical.
That's what I
All practical.
thought.
There was a lot of VFX in it, like things you probably can't tell, particles in the air or um, the gunshots, things like that were VFX. But for the most part, everything is practical, and even the spaceship. So my very, very close friend Kyle Gerard, who he lives near you in Michigan. We grew up together. I've known him since the sixth grade, and he created he made probably about a 4 foot practical spaceship,
Ooh.
and he even lined it with LEDs and fiber optics so that it had flashing lights. And I flew to Michigan to film it, and we filmed it landing, and we actually hooked up air compressors. And we built sand to make like a hill that kind of looked like the area that we shot in California. So we made like a fake miniature set in his
Nice.
backyard, and we put air compressor hose under the sand. And when we landed the ship, we turned the air compressor on so it would blow the sand up, so it looked like, how a ship would land, blowing sand around. So like we went as far as that to even go practical. Um, and fun story about that ship was, you joked at your friends who were like, ask him about Evil Bong. Well, my brother, when we were filming the spaceship, first thing out of his mouth is, when are we gonna blow it up?
Of course.
And you're like, Jason, it's not even in the script. There's no like space battle. Why is it gonna explode? This makes no sense. And then all of my friends that were helping us like land it and do it, I'm like, yeah, let's blow it up. And it's like you said, like it's just that's the Midwest. They want to see explosions and evil bongs. And so I was like, let me sleep on it, guys. We have 3 days to shoot this. Give me tonight.
We can work it in.
Give me tonight to ponder why this would even make sense. So I pondered and I was like, okay, I know a way we can do it. And I'm actually so fucking grateful that my brother said that, because we have an explosion now. I won't spoil anything, but I'm very glad that we did it because I like what we did. And we basically I told them, I was like, the only way to make it work is we now have to create a bunch of plants that are now scaled to the size of the spaceship.
Sure.
So we stayed up all night with hose and hot glue guns and spray paint, making properly scaled plant tentacles to match it. Um, and I'm glad that we did. I rolled my eyes when they suggested it, but no, good idea, Jason. Thanks, bro. But no, yeah, tell me more. What else do you want to know about Alien Planet? I
About
have to
Alien Planet, I want to know everything about Alien Planet. I really wanted to make one comment that these I consider them almost tentacles came out, and you seem like every time you went to a different location, you're like, all right, now we'll put those alien tentacles coming out of the ground over there. How many of those sets did you have?
one.
That's what I thought.
We repurposed one. It was so we had like obviously there's the bigger ones.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
the ones that wrap around people. There's the big Venus flytrap type one.
Which was
But the one
awesome.
that but the one that you see in almost every shot where it's like what I call the thudding plants because they thud on the ground. Those we only had one. And so we just repurposed it multiple times. It was a simple string. It wasn't even like robotic. Someone was standing there pulling a string, making them move. And then I had to either frame it so they're not in the shot or remove them afterwards because they're in frame. Um, so that was really neat to be able to pull that off. It was basically just carrying around a shovel and saying, all right, let's plop it here, dig a hole real quick.
How many days were you guys on this? Like altogether, what was your shooting schedule?
So there was 12 principal days of shooting.
Nice.
And I have to tell everybody, this movie was, you said low budget. This movie was very, very low budget. Um, and if you're not in the industry, it's hard to kind of gauge what that means. But for a movie that is filled with 60 prosthetics, multiple puppets, a giant monster, a spaceship, all those things, um, it is hard to do that on a budget. So we shot this movie in 12 days for $77,000.
Wow.
And
That is incredibly impressive. I would have assumed by watching it that you were at least 150.
I wish that I had 150. And that 77, that we couldn't even put that all towards the movie. A large chunk of it had to go towards taxes
Okay.
and Indiegogo fees and also paying for the perks that people bought. So it was actually less than that. So
And Crafty alone.
Crafty me alone. I fed everybody well because when
Yeah.
you're working on a low budget, you got to make sure that people are not hungry.
Especially when they're under prosthetics.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because like we shot in when did we shoot? I want to say it was like November, I think. But I remember it was early mornings, freezing cold. And then when the sun came up, smoking hot. So we went through on the shoot days the extremes to every level. Freezing cold to boiling hot. But yeah, and everyone was so professional and really wanted to be there. So it was like, even though it was a tough shoot because having people in prosthetics out in the jungle and um, not the jungle, sorry, the desert. Sorry, my brain is mixing up with Indonesia. In the desert, it's not easy. And so everybody was so awesome. We had, like the puppeteer who puppeteered Gairi,
Yeah.
Nahia Lajoie, she was basically like crawling and kneeling in cactus for 12 days. And so it's like everybody just put up with such awesome stuff. And I'm so grateful that they did because the final product I'm very proud of. And 12 days is quick too. When you're shooting, um, a lot of times shoot days go long, but we never had a day that we worked more than 10 or 11 hours. We never went past.
Does that include makeup time as well?
Yep.
Wow.
So makeup, we had 3 hours to get into the makeup in the morning and 2 hours to get out at the end. So it means we really could only shoot half the day. And I didn't want, and since everyone was working on, friend rates, I didn't want anyone going crazy hours. And, you usually hear indie films go 22 hours a day, but I was like, I'm not doing that. So we went, I think it was roughly 10, maybe with lunch, 11 hours. So we had a pretty efficient set. Everybody was super, yeah, it was Alien Planet. I missed that. I miss shooting that. I hope I can do another one someday.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think there might be a sequel in the future? I mean, it feels like that world you created, there's more stories there that could be told.
There are, and I have already plotted them out. There was a lot of stories, and I would love to. I'd love to make it into my own like Star Trek
Yeah.
uh,
Go
or
full
Frank.
transmedia. Have like a your own little Fruit Ninja game as well that tells the untold story about the savior character, you know?
Yes, and so I would love to. I think it's just a matter of everyone knows that Hollywood's going through some changes right now. It's a tough time to get anything greenlit, but I would love to eventually get things going. And I don't know if there is always a possibility of doing another one for crowdfunding, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows what the future holds? But hey, guys, if you're interested in checking out Alien Planet, I would suggest going to the website. But also, it is on Tubi. And correct me if I'm wrong, you could also rent or buy it on Apple TV. Is that correct? And Amazon.
Apple, Amazon, Tubi, and a plethora of others. I'm sure if you use the search bar on your Fire TVs, it'll pop up. But also, there's direct links on alienplanetfilm.com. And on alienplanetfilm.com, you can also pre-order the Blu-ray through Amazon. The Blu-ray comes with some making of behind the scenes, which are really cool if people like to see how things are made.
Who doesn't
Uh,
love featurettes, man? Back in the days of physical media, you got so many featurettes. I'm very happy that you put two of them on your website. So, guys, you can check those out right now.
yes, yes. And also, like, I know a lot of the people listening don't have a Blu-ray player because it seems to be a thing of the past for the younger generation. But the I can guarantee you the quality of the Blu-ray is far superior to streaming. Um, I've checked it myself. My master that I created on that Blu-ray is from a 4K master, and it looks beautiful. Um, it looks great on streaming too, just not as great.
Yeah. If you want the real experience, the experience the director intended you to have,
Boom. That's
then
it.
you need to get this Blu-ray, people. Just throwing it out there. Well, Alan, it was great talking to you. Before we let you go, is there anything else you want to say to our audience?
Follow me on Instagram. That way, like whatever I do next, you guys can see. And also, like I'll be posting about Monster Island Orangutan as it gets release dates and stuff. So I'm at Monster Maxson. So you'll find me on Instagram there, and I'll just keep posting about stuff.
Perfect. Hey, and from all of us here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya.
See ya.
Man, that was an honor that we got that interview with this guy. I mean, what a versatile career. He's been in so many different kind of films, and the work that he does is so unique and, new with all this motion capture that they use actors to become these monsters, like how when he was King Ghidorah, one of the heads, it's so cool to me. And he even does like funny stuff too. So, the man, like, he doesn't take himself too seriously. He's not afraid to be in a movie about a bong,
I mean, yeah, that is true. And it's like whether he's under makeup or being like motion captured with the computer,
Mhm.
you're right. He's like, because people are calling on him now. I mean, he's called Monster Maxim.
I love that. What a cool name.
You can't buy that kind of publicity, Ryan.
No, you can't, dude. So that was awesome. But let me tell you, I think what else is awesome is we've got some great headlines today.
What? Our headlines? We have news?
That's right.
What's the news today? What is this week's Earthling Entertainment headlines?
Blumhouse partners with Meta Horizon for special Horrorverse experience. This comes to us from Fangoria.com. With their 2025 slate of films already killing it at the box office, Blumhouse is giving audiences a chance to dive deeper into their horror universe than ever before. They've just announced that they're partnering with Meta Horizon to introduce Blumhouse Horrorverse, an immersive experience that transports audiences into the heart-pounding world of horror movies from their favorite franchises. Releasing in May 22nd, the Horrorverse is described as a theme park-like locale set in a dark, foggy forest with the imposing edifice of the Blumhouse at its center. The woods are the place to role-play and socialize with your friends and fellow scare addicts, featuring themed activities and elements based on Blumhouse stories as you explore, such as target practice areas based on the Purge franchise.
Well, those targets could be quite morbid considering the Purge franchise.
They're people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What are they going to do? Just have targets be like, this is the Purge. How watered and sanitary do you think that's going to be?
It's going to be great. This, I don't know what we say it a lot, but this sounds like a Black Mirror episode where it's like you go in and then it's like, oh, no, it's real.
It reminds me of the Oasis from Ready Player One, and it's the same thing where it's like it's an online space, but you could do things over here. You could watch concerts here. You could do a dance party here, socialize here, date here, or just simulate murder.
That's right. Blumhouse. So there's also a Wolfman minigame.
Okay, that could be awesome.
And a screening area for exclusive Blumhouse content.
That also could be awesome because what would be great publicity is they do, maybe not a very expensive movie, but you do kind of a lower budget film and release it exclusively on this.
Yeah,
that would get butts in seats. That would get goggles on faces. Is all I'm saying.
It certainly would. The immersive experience will feature environments inspired by numerous films from their repertoire, including Megan and its upcoming sequel, The Black Phone. Oh, God. Happy Death Day.
That's what I'm saying. Some of these things are like, oh, gross.
Yeah, I do not want to be in The Black Phone. Happy Death Day and more.
Happy Death Day could be awesome, though, because if you don't know, Happy Death Day is kind of like a Groundhog's Day where she gets killed and then wakes up and has to relive the day and try to figure out who killed her. That could be kind of cool. Playing a game I imagine it would be like Supermassive games where they do the Corey or they do Until Dawn,
Yeah.
So if they had one of those in there, I'd be in.
Fans will also be able to take part in their Survival Lockdown game in the titular Blumhouse, which anyone can activate by throwing the world lockdown lever into place. Whoever happens to be in the house will be assigned a role, villain or victim. The players must work together in a Dead by Daylight-esque scenario to either survive the nights or eliminate all survivors. That sounds fun.
Yeah, they've done that a few times. The Friday the 13th game did that.
Yep.
And that was done by Gun Media, I believe.
Mhm.
And their Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. I loved playing that game. I played that a lot.
I remember watching you play that. That was a cool one.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of that one. I had to stop, unfortunately, though, because they didn't have enough maps after you do it a billion times. To me, and there's an argument, right? Like people say that you play football on a field, right? The
Right.
field never changes, so it's about each individual game. And they kind of made that argument with this game and other games like this, like Dead by Daylight, where it's,
Uh-huh.
well, this is just an arena, and the difference is the different games that you play with people online. But me, I just got bored of the same space. I don't know.
I understand totally. The new immersive installment is the latest in a long series of horror-themed experiences available on MetaQuest. Other titles featured on the platform currently include franchises like The Exorcist, The Walking Dead, Five Nights at Freddy's, and Alien. That would be a fun one. Getting stalked by that thing.
Oh man, I played Alien Isolation, and that whole game is about getting stalked by an alien. I wouldn't want to do a 3D version of that. That was a hard and scary situation.
Oh, I know, and I have to second guess myself too with even trying these kind of things because even just playing like horror games, like my heart pounds. Like it affects me. They do.
Yeah, I mean that's good. That's kind of the point, right?
Oh yeah.
Get the blood flowing.
So there's even more storylines that says on MetaQuest. So Blumhouse Horrorverse arrives on Meta Horizon on May 22nd of this year, 2025.
You know, I might check it out. I'm interested. I don't know if I'm interested enough to invest the time and money into the equipment I need to do it, but I'm interested.
I've always kind of wanted a MetaQuest. I've always
Yeah.
wanted one just because I heard it actually is really fun.
I had an Oculus for a hot minute, but I never actually ended up using it because it was like a hand-me-down, and the what is it? The strap that went around your head kind of broke, and the thing was really heavy. So I didn't want to figure out how to joy rig it or get it fixed, and I was like, it's like getting like a car that just doesn't quite run. Oh, you only have to replace the radiator, and I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna.
I love the videos when they have elderly people put on like MetaQuest and it's just they lose their minds, like they think it's real because it's like, you know what I mean, they've never experienced that kind of VR before. So like they're the funniest videos. If you haven't looked them up, they're pretty funny.
Huh? How did I get on Mars?
Like straight
What
up.
is this?
I'm not kidding. Like screaming. Like screaming in terror. Like it's wild.
I don't know if there's that many people who are screaming in terror, but I bet there's at least a couple. You said
There's a
there's
few.
video? I
There's
wanna-
a few. I've seen a few.
All right, you got to send me the video.
Like everybody's got to stand around grandma when they put that on her because she might just fall over.
Oh my God! I'm in space, Johnny.
Yep. No, like I said, it's crazy what that does to us because it really is a thing. You know what I mean? Like we
Being so put into that artificial world, like it tricks
Yeah.
our brain in a bit.
It really can, and especially if you're not used to it, you know what I mean, to that much kind of media, then yeah, I could see that really scaring the bejesus out of you.
You know what else would scare the bejesus out of me personally?
What's that?
Being hunted by 24 members of my community.
I kind of feel like I'm already living that life, Joe.
Well, so is Hamish Abernathy in the new Hunger Games. Why don't you talk about headline number 2, Ryan?
The Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping film has found their Hamish and Lenore Dove. This comes to us from Variety.com. The Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping has found its leads. Joseph Zeta will star as District 12 tribute Hamish Abernathy, while Whitney Peake will play his girlfriend, Lenore Dove Baird. The Liongate film, based on best-selling novel of the same name by Hunger Games author Suzanne Collins, takes place 40 years after the events of prequel The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. Sunrise on the Reaping will be released on November 20th, 2026. Francis Lawrence, who has helmed every installment of the franchise since 2012's Catching Fire, will direct from a screenplay adaptation by Billy Ray. Billy Ray Cyrus?
I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but you know.
Published on March 18th, Sunrise on the Reaping revisits the world of Panem, 24 years before the events of the original The Hunger Games. starting on the morning of the reaping of the 50th Hunger Games, also known as the Second Quarter Quell. That's all the news for now. But if you'd like to hear our thoughts on Sunrise of the Reaping, check out Earthling Entertainment episode 79, where we give our non-spoiler review of the novel.
Yeah, I will say I liked the book. I think it was probably my favorite Hunger Games. So I'm looking forward to the movie. You said your girlfriend read the book, right?
She did read the book, and she said it made her cry. Like it was it was really heavy.
There's a lot of harsh stuff that if you're thinking that you've seen this movie before and this formula before, while you're not wrong, they do a good job of keeping things I don't want to say necessarily original, but there's surprises and there's things you haven't seen before, and they did a really good job. So I'm excited. I haven't actually heard of either of these actors or actresses who they got. This Joseph Zeta and what was the other one? Whitney Peak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Whitney Peak will play Lenore Dove Baird.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
She looks familiar, but he doesn't.
But he does look like he could be a young Woody Harrelson. So I assume they did a lot of auditions to get these people. So I'll take their word for it. I'm excited. This movie should come out November 20th, 2026.
No, it's awesome how successful that this franchise continues to be. Like, yeah, with this book coming out, it was huge. Everybody was talking about it.
It's funny because they basically greenlit the movie when the book was just a twinkle in the author's eye. I gotta feel like they were like, what, another book? It's a movie. It's a movie. Give us a script. We need the money.
Twinkle in his eye.
Twinkle in his eye.
I love that, Joe. I don't think I've ever heard that. I like that a lot.
Well, let's jump into headline number 3, our final headline of the show.
Friendo the Clown hits the road for nationwide Clown in a Cornfield screening event tour. This comes to us from rumorg.com. The murderous mascot is spreading his reign of terror far beyond Kettle Springs. Clown in a Cornfield and its titular villain, Friendo, are embarking on a 2-week semi-truck tour ahead of the movie's theatrical release on May 9th. Fans can follow along via social media at Shudder and at clown_in_a_cornfield.
They made it real easy.
Yeah. Those who track down the tour truck or one of the film's Don't Fuck with Friendo posters in the wild and post a photo with the hashtag I found Friendo will be entered to win an exclusive prize pack. Special screenings and other events will take place at the following locations and dates. Today, on April 30th, in Roswell, New Mexico, at the International UFO Museum and Research Center. May 1st, in Grand Canyon, Arizona, at the Grand Canyon. May 2nd, Las Vegas, Nevada, at the West Wind Drive-In. May 4th, Pomona, California, at the Los Angeles County Fair. Then May 5th at Los Angeles, California at Brain Dead Studios. May 7th, Tonopah. Oh my gosh.
Tonopah.
Yes. Nevada at the Clown Motel. Well, that seems fitting.
Yeah, that's a perfect setting.
May 8th at Denver, Colorado at the Red Rocks Amphitheater. May 9th, Kansas City, Missouri at AMC Theater. Follow along for exact location. May 10th, Nashville, Tennessee. Follow along for more details.
Yeah, so basically they haven't quite decided those last two. But it's good to take a movie on tour. It's a great way. Kevin Smith has done it for his last couple movies. I just think it's a lot of fun. I got to see a few of these where they're, small releases and they just kind of like run around cities because there's always Q&As. It's a blast.
I mean, yeah, it's great for the fans. Clown in a Cornfield was directed by Eli Craig. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Love
Great
that movie. Love that movie.
Yep. So his next movie I'm in.
These kids just kept coming onto our property and killing themselves. From a script by Carter Blanchard and Craig, based on Adam Caesar's popular novel. Katie Douglas, Carson McCormick, Aaron Abrams, Vincent Muller, Will Sasso, and Kevin Durand Starr. Synopsis: Quinn, Douglas, and her father, played by Abrams, have just moved to a quiet town of Kettle Springs, hoping for a fresh start. Instead, She discovers a fractured community that has fallen on hard times after the treasured Bay Pen corn syrup factory burned down. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister, grinning figure emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. Welcome to Kettle Springs. The real fun starts when Friendo the Clown comes out to play.
Ooh. I mean, it sounds like a normal slasher. I'm in.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a good slasher. You told me that it was really big. I honestly haven't heard of it myself. I haven't exactly had my ear to the ground for new horror lately. I haven't really been watching a lot.
So, in full disclosure, Ryan has been moving, and it's been a big ordeal. So, yeah, you're forgiven this time.
I've missed out on a bunch because once I get back, I'm just, bah.
But you know what stinks is the one I want to go to is happening today, Wednesday, April 30th, which of course is today. It's Roswell, dude. Roswell, New Mexico.
I know.
At the UFO Museum.
I'm dying. I gotta go.
So if you guys are in Roswell or around Roswell, go to this so we can live vicariously through you.
And then message us and make us jealous.
Tell us. Yes. Please.
But yeah, I guess that's so that's it for headlines today, man. That was
good, but that's also it for the show, Ryan.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Parting is such sweet sorrow.
It is. But hey, guys, did you like the show today?
I did.
Did you enjoy what we did? Did you like hearing about Alan's work in the entertainment industry? A lot of fun stuff. Please download the episode. Did you know, Ryan, that downloading the episode is actually the best way to support the show?
And I tell you, we appreciate each and every one. We see it when you guys are. A lot of our old episodes have been getting downloads lately, and we really appreciate it. That's just great.
Yeah, and this one, I believe, is episode 84.
Oh my God.
You have a plethora of episodes to go back and just feast upon. Enjoy with your ear holes.
It's crazy. We've almost been at this for 2 years, bro.
Yeah, darn near. We're going to have a big 100th episode. I have no idea what that's going to be yet. I want to do something good, and we've been throwing around some ideas, but
I kind of wanted to do something bad.
Oh, that would be fun. Let's subvert expectations. We'll make it like a 5-minute episode and just be like making annoying noises in the background.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Maybe we'll do that as a joke, right? And then we'll make the 101 episode a good episode.
But seriously, folks, your mission, should you choose to accept it, you share this episode with a coworker, with a friend, with a loved one. Listen to us on your way to work or at home. But share us with another Earthling, just one.
So, from all of us here at Earthling Entertainment,
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And thanks for listening.
Yep.